I want to talk about the reason that this God belief is so pervasive throughout the world and time.
Okay.
I looked it up on the internet. Do you remember when they taught us in school in math class about the lowest common denominator
Indeed.
Yeah.
in division problems? So
Mhm.
Yeah.
the lowest common denominator. I believe that this belief in an afterlife is spurred on by the physiology that we all share. We have no experience with non-existence. I don't
Right.
think it's true that we will exist forever. It seems reasonable from our experience that that would be the case.
I think I can understand why people believe it. I don't think that it's actually reasonable to think that without a physical body that you would continue to exist in the manner that you currently do.
When you give it some more careful consideration, yes, I have come to that conclusion. I think
Right.
that my days are numbered, but it's easy for me to understand why so many people. I looked up, I can't remember the exact phrase. I think it would, we have no experience with non-existence. And
Right.
when you put it in quotes and look it up on Google, I actually got one hit. It's just not much of a discussion. I hear so many conversations. I've been listening to you and Paul and Mr. Dillahunty for 3 or 4 years now.
Okay.
And the conversations go on and on and on and on. And I never really know if this person that's trying to defend his God position, does
Mhm.
he believe that he's going to live forever? Or does he believe that he is a finite creature, he or
Most of them
she?
think that they're probably going to carry on in some way, shape, or form, especially if they're Christians. It's kind of baked into the pudding when it comes to Christianity. Like an afterlife is a component of that belief system, right?
Yeah,
Any
I
Abrahamic
got
religion,
it.
there's an afterlife
The way I
component.
was raised, and I had that belief for a long, long time.
Right. So you don't I'm trying to suss out what it is. So you're based on the call notes, you're a deist. So you're not like a Christian or you're not an Abrahamic believer. You think that when you're gone, but you also think that one of the reasons that so many people adhere to religious belief is because an afterlife seems like something that's reasonable, like intuitively maybe? Because
Yeah,
they have no experience not existing, so they can't imagine themselves in a non-existent state.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I would I I think it would be helpful for people in general to have this question posed to them. Do you think that you're gonna live forever in paradise? Or do you understand that you are a finite creature?
I mean, I'm not sure that generally speaking is a helpful question to pose to people, like, when you walk up to them on the street. I think it's something existentially that people grapple with pretty regularly anyway. So people come to their own conclusions about their mortality. Anybody who's aware of their mortality is going to come to one of two conclusions, likely, is that they'll stop existing or they'll continue existing in some way, shape, or form. Like, there aren't any other viable options I can think of. Can you think of other viable options that aren't in my realm of awareness right now, Paul? Between those two?
Nope. Nope. And I'm curious if we're all this is another just call where we're all nodding in agreement that fear of death has spawned some religions. I mean, absolutely, that's the case.
Right.
Um, that seems trivially true.
Okay, this
Is
is
there
a
more to
cold
it,
call.
Gary?
So I'm gonna leave with this one last thought.
Okay.
When we get the call screening and they ask for preferred pronouns,
Oh, don't
I think
don't.
that I think that's important.
Oh,
But
good. Okay.
what I
I
also
thought that was going to go
think is
another way, and I was going to
important
get
is that
upset.
what I also think is important is that question about whether or not you think you're going to live forever. I personally would like to know what the caller's opinion is on that as I'm listening to them spout their stuff.
Well, I mean, Gary, when we're talking to the callers, we tend to let them kind of lead with what they want to talk about, right? So you called to talk to us about this, for example. No, one sec. Let me finish for a sec because I'm gonna prove a point here for a sec. So you called to talk to us about this subject matter. So we discussed this subject matter with you because you are a deist. I'm willing to bet that there's a lot of people who are in the chat right now who are like, "Oh man, why aren't you challenging him on deism? I would like to see more of the callers challenged on their religious beliefs." Because lots of people would like to see lots of different things. But when I'm having a conversation with somebody, I tend to have that conversation with them based on the parameters that they set out of respect for them. So I'm not going to interrupt a conversation that I'm having with somebody about the soul or about morality or about their religious belief or about their deconversion and interject just to ask them if they think that they're going to live forever or not, unless it's relevant to the conversation that we're having in that moment. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
So that's why I understand that it's interesting to you, and organically, it may come up more often than not when we're talking about, things like heaven, for example, or the soul, but it's not always organically gonna go in, and I understand that it is interesting, and I hear you there, but it's not always I'm not always gonna be able to acquiesce to that request, unfortunately, without it being very contrived.
Yeah.
I
Thanks for
appreciate
looking
you.
at it with me.
Yeah, no problem, Gary. Thank you for calling
Yeah.
in, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. See you later. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.